icons that a lot of technology is based upon now.
Well, it's interesting too because it seems like Apple was more into pictures at first, and Windows and Microsoft tended to have more like words, lists, and sometimes they would pair an icon with the words. And then Apple, when I was a kid, we had Apple computers at school, and so Apple really grew to be this big name. And of course, they're really popular, probably the number one brand name nowadays. I don't know, the pictures that they seem to emphasize though. I do like certain things that Google has made that are for focus more on lists. Um, and that actually kind of leads into differences between those major ones.
Those major ones such
Yeah.
as Apple and Google.
It's just
and
like a general
Microsoft.
wide open question. Yeah. So are those the three main ones? Microsoft, Google,
and
Apple?
And Apple. Yeah, those are for the main like consumer choices of technology. Those are like the main systems. You have Google with its Chromebooks that are overtaking right now in the school sectors, especially.
And the internet browser they use is Chrome.
Yeah, and the Chrome, which is also a Google browser, and then on the
Google browser.
uh,
No, yeah, I thought
it,
you were saying that instead of internet browser, I thought you were calling them the Google browsers.
no, yeah, it's a browser. Chrome is a browser made by Google.
Yeah, okay.
And then they also, and on the mobile front, they have the Android operating system, and their flagship version of the Android operating system being the Pixels. Then you have Microsoft.
Wait, the operating systems?
What was that?
Say that again. So wait, the flagship operating system?
No, the operating system is Android for mobile.
Okay.
Which is a Google-made operating system.
But aren't there names like about fruits or cookies and things like
That's
Oreo?
the version.
Okay.
So right now we're on Oreo.
Of Android operating system.
Yeah, which is
that ever shortened to like AOS? Because like Apple has iOS, everything.
Android O would be
Android. Oh, so
yeah.
short for Android operating
they just
system.
Well, no, it just goes in alphabetical order. So the first Android operating system was Android A, and now we're all the way down to Android O.
Oh, so wait, iOS, is that the first, or is that every iteration since?
iOS is just the Apple version of the mobile operating system for the phone. So their phones use iOS, and right now I think they're on like iOS 13.
Okay, so they number them instead
Yeah.
of alphabetizing.
Exactly. Google alphabetizes them. They are Alphabet Inc. after all.
What?
Google's
Their alphabet what?
Google's company is called Alphabet Inc.
Oh, I was just thinking, what about when they get to 26? Or I mean to Z, then do they start with AA or?
I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet.
All right.
Because we're all
oh.
still trying to figure out what. Oh no, we're on Android P right now. Android Pie.
Oh, so Oreo was, they name it
Yeah.
something cutesy that starts with that letter.
It's always like a dessert. So Android P.
That's cute. What a lovely tradition they started.
I don't know what. So everybody's right now just guessing what Android Q is going to be.
Q. Oh.
Going to be called. It's got to be a dessert.
A dessert.
Yeah. So
there's got to be something.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And
what's the operating system for that last one?
So that was.
You talked about Apple and Android.
Apple and Android. We talked about Android, their computers and their phones. Apple's computers are the MacBooks and the iMacs and iPad Pro, if you want to consider it. And they all are running on the Mac OS.
Okay, so Mac operating system is separate from their mobile.
Yes, iOS versus Mac OS are very different operating systems.
But Apple devices, that those hardware pieces only run their operating systems, right? And that you've called a closed ecosystem in that they don't talk well with Android, but that all the Apples talk really well, even if it's Mac versus mobile.
So anybody that has a Mac ecosystem knows will, like, it's almost impossible to get them out of it, right? Because it's so convenient between their files being shared. They have the AirDrop, which is super simple if they want to like trade files between their phone and their computer. They wirelessly can do it just through AirDrop, which is a super simple system. Super efficient system, sorry. Then they also have the iMessage. People will stay on Apple specifically for iMessage because they can start a conversation and text over their phone and then switch it over to their computer. Same thing with their video chat version. And now Google actually does have that same thing with Android messages.
I was gonna say, aren't they moving away from some of their secondary apps? It's got cumbersome, and now they're kind of shaving those off and integrating the features a bit more like Apple, it seems.
Google had specifically 3 main apps, and if you want to call Google Voice a fourth one, but they had Allo, Hangouts, and Messages. Hangouts is now being rebranded as a business-only chat. Allo seems to be, I think they said that they're going to get rid of it here soon. And Messages is going to be their primary texting app. But Messages, they also have Messages for web, where you can connect your phone to your computer and continue text through your computer. So iMessage, it's still not quite iMessage as seamless as iMessage is, but it is something that they are working on achieving. But then that's just another part of Android or the Mac and Apple ecosystem that makes it easy to be seamless between mobile and your computer. And not to mention, all the computers generally are powerful enough to do whatever you want. Historically have had less virus problems. A lot of, like, I know you don't like the way that it's very picture focused, but a lot of people have found it a lot more intuitive and easier to understand. Right. Software tends to run better. The operating system used to be more efficient. Now it's about the same as a Windows operating system. As it's gotten more complex, the operating system has gotten heavier, and Windows 10 recently has brought down all the like the operating system and kind of shaved it off to make it more efficient. And Google's Chrome OS is pretty much right now one of the most efficient operating system. I'll be one of the what is it? It doesn't have as much going on with it, right? Because it's mostly just a web browser, and they're currently adding more to it. So Mac, you'll see, is very popular in software tech. So places that are building or that are coding or design studios and things like that. And then also, if in retail, it tends to be, from what I've seen, I haven't done a study on this, but from just my personal, what I've seen, unless somebody's using some sort of proprietary software, Apple is used as in retail stores as their primary retail point of sales system.
I have seen the tablets a lot. I think Old Navy, a lot of places that use Square tends to partner up with them, and so a lot of modern businesses that use Square.
Yeah, because Square has a Apple device holder, and now Square does have its own proprietary one too. And I don't know if they have. I think they might have one for Samsung too, but it's not as common.
So
But,
sorry.
oh, sorry. I was going to finish the third.
Sure.
The third with Microsoft. Microsoft is the third big entity. However, they're losing. They're right now the biggest shareholder in the Windows market. They the majority of businesses use Windows for a lot of their back-end operations, servers and office work and things like that tend to run on Windows. Most like the right now Microsoft Office is one of the biggest or is, I'm pretty sure, the biggest like Office, like Excel, Word, PowerPoint out there, and sharing the files between them. And so a lot of times, even those places that have Mac in the foreground still might be running Windows in the background for the rest of their operations.
Okay, that makes sense because Microsoft Word is used on Apple, isn't it?
Microsoft Word, yeah, is used on Apple. I'm sure Apple has its own version. And then you also have Google Docs that's available, but Microsoft Word tends to still, the Microsoft Office package tends to still win over.
So if you download a Google Docs app on a Chromebook, because some Chromebooks you can download apps, but some you can't, is that right?
Yeah, so some Chromebooks, most of the newer Chromebooks, you'll be able to use the App Store.
So you could download and use offline.
Yeah, and you can, so if you can use the App Store, Microsoft Office actually does have an app that you can use on Chrome.
So you could even use Office.
Yeah, so you could even use Office.
Okay, because I've used Google Docs a lot lately, and I don't know how that works with uploading after if you work on them offline. But when you have online, Google Chrome has seemed very
So the Chrome Office is able to run offline if you have the app downloaded separate, and then it'll sync up the files when you're back online again. But you would need to download the files prior to having them, which you can easily do when you're in the online version. You can select to have your files downloaded or offline moded so that they will have them downloaded to all your devices. You can edit them, and then they'll sync up with each other when they're back online. Back to Microsoft, though, being the third of the right now, it's the biggest share of the Microsoft, or Windows 10 has the biggest market hold, and that is partly because back-end structure that generally uses Microsoft Office. There's a lot of proprietary software that uses Microsoft Office, and by that I mean like the hotel industry. They have like their check-in system. Almost every single hotel has, unless it's like a small independent hotel, a lot of the corporate hotels have a software that has been built for their hotel, or built for that kind of large chain hotels. Maybe not specifically for them, but like as a chain that they have proprietary software that they get, and that is like, and in order to run a hotel of that size, this is what they get. Not only that, it could be forced upon them on franchise. Regardless, that's separate from the point. The point is like they have a proprietary software that's given to them, and that only runs on Windows. Sometimes it might not even run on Windows 10. A lot of companies are on Windows 7 still because the software that they use only works on Windows 7 or even Windows XP even. So, and there's no other version that they can switch to because it's only one company that's made it. They only have it for this business that they're in, and it's only been used on Windows, and so everybody just is accustomed to there.
Interesting.